in the prosecution's case, and that is, I believe, a district attorney in Jersey and one of their associates who sort of felt that an interaction and meeting with Menendez felt icky. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so icky, I think, is frankly a totally appropriate word to describe this particular interaction, where the question was, and I'm going to try and, you're right, it's a complicated case, but simplify it. Essentially, did Senator Menendez and his then fiancee get money in exchange for Senator Menendez using his position as a senator to try and affect a criminal investigation, again, involving one of these, I believe it was businessman's friends? And basically, did he call up local law enforcement and say, hey, I'd like to hear about this case. What's going on? Is this a case that you really want to pursue? Are you sure that it's worth it? And a lot of people who are watching at home know those kinds of interactions where they're basically being leaned on. They're asked for, without it being explicitly asked, they're asked for somebody to, do something like, hey, don't you think that maybe this product should be put on the market earlier, or maybe we should give this person a cut and provide them with a discount for our services? And I think that's really what the local law enforcement testified to, that it just didn't feel right, that there was some sort of understanding or acknowledgement that Senator Menendez was kind of fishing around for what's happening in this particular criminal case, and maybe, do you want to slow walk it?
And the senator was very quick to say, look, when the indictment came out, these are some salacious details. We have photos of cash stuffed into my senator jacket. We have gold bars in a closet. But Jessica, at the end of the day, and we have about a minute left, we have 18 counts. And you mentioned the jury could come back with a split verdict. You have an idea of how juries go through some of this. How rare would something like that be? And we're looking at all the counts right now.
So it wouldn't be rare in the sense that the jury took some time, and it might be that they thought that some of these counts were proven and others were not, in the sense that different evidence went to different crimes. So I don't think this is a case where everything has to rise and fall together. Now, I will say, is there a typical, maybe typically in a case like this, if you don't believe him, you just kind of don't believe him, and you look at those pictures and you think that there was some sort of wrongdoing. But, again, it has to rise to the level of a federal conviction here. So I don't think it would be strange if we see conviction on some counts and a not guilty or a hung jury on others.
All right, everybody. I'm sorry. I just heard something in my ear. Are we continuing with Jessica? Okay. So, Jessica, it looks like we are going to continue talking about this breaking news with you. Of course, a big case against Menendez. For anybody joining us, we do have news that a verdict has been reached. Jessica, what do we know about this news about Nadine Menendez, the senator's wife, who was at some of this, was his fiance at the time? We know in some of this evidence, prosecutors, they were staked out at one of these high-end steakhouses in Washington, D.C., where one of these meetings was happening with Menendez and his co-defendants, in which a fiance at the time, said, what else can the love of my life do for you? Of course, that is taken out of context. We don't know if it was about, can he pass the salt at the table? But what do we know about her involvement in this case and this news that her case is indefinitely postponed at the time?
Well, as you said, I mean, her case is indefinitely postponed because of health issues that she's facing. She's facing breast cancer treatment. And I think the prosecution would have far preferred to bring these cases together, partly because of the story that you laid out here, which is that it's easier to tell a cohesive whole and to be able to bring in the facts that involve Nadine Menendez. And in fact, to have, be able to tell the entire story without perhaps a patchwork where you don't have her involved. But we know for the prosecution that she is an integral part of this case, that she's the one, again, interacting with many of the businessmen who are involved in this case, that she is the one who, as we said, that could be pass the salt or it could be an official act, but she's the one saying, what else can he do for you? So that she's essentially arranging much of what is happening here. And again, that's why Senator Menendez's team tried to distance himself, saying, well, she might have been promising things. She might have had these interactions, but he had something very different, which is just a then fiance saying, can you look into this? Not saying, because we're going to get gold bars or cash as a result. So Senator Menendez's team definitely trying to say she is the mastermind behind this. If anything, he was somewhat in the dark. And the prosecution saying, no, he was in charge. He was in the driver's seat. He knew exactly what was going on.
And viewers, forgive me, because this is such a sort of tangled web here in this case. But Jessica, just to remind people, the Mercedes-Benz, one of the key pieces of sort of... Okay, I'm just hearing from my executive producer that the Associated Press is reporting that we have at least one guilty verdict. Of course, there are 18 counts, Jessica, so still unclear which count that's related to. If it's just one count, several, or even all. We're still working on getting that information. But Jessica, the Mercedes-Benz involved, this was gifted to Nadine Menendez by one of the co-defendants. There's a car accident at the center of this. That vehicle was replacing another vehicle in which she hit and killed someone in New Jersey.
That's right. I mean, there's a lot of background to this particular story. But as to the Mercedes, as to the car, I think some of the allegations here is that she was just trying to create a lifestyle that could not be supported by somebody on the government payroll, and that she wanted to live a high life. And this was her way of trying to do this.
All right, Jessica Levinson, thank you so much. We're going to be hearing much more from you. CBS News 24/7 picks up the coverage with this breaking news right now.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Breaking news at CBS 24/7. Let's go to New York right now, where the jury has reached a verdict in the trial of embattled Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey. We are learning the verdict is going to be announced in court soon, but we also understand via the Associated Press that it is a guilty verdict. Menendez faces 16 charges, including bribery and extortion, and what prosecutors allege was a multi-year scheme to sell his power and position for money. So as soon as those jurors go into that courtroom and we get a little more information, we'll break into this and our other CBS 24/7 streaming broadcasts throughout the day. A big day here at CBS 24/7. Let's also ride our video feeds to breaking news out of the state of Maryland. We're hearing about a twin-engine Cessna plane that has gone down. This one crashed in the waters near a place called Easton this morning. To sort of orient you to where that is, that's a little less than an hour's drive out of Annapolis, Maryland. The Federal Aviation Administration tells us the only person on board was the pilot. That pilot reported some sort of engine failure, and amazingly, when you look at that body of water and you see what it could have been, that pilot survived. However, you also see a lot of boats out there on the water. Multiple agencies are at that crash site, including the U.S. Coast Guard. We've also got more breaking news dotting our maps today, this time in a place called Nashville. But we're not talking about Nashville, Tennessee. We're talking about Nashville, Illinois. People there evacuating their homes. This town is about less than an hour drive to St. Louis, Missouri. They're on the border. And the reason they're on the run is word of an imminent dam failure. In fact, what you're seeing here are pictures shown during our CBS affiliate KMOV's coverage. Let's show you a little bit more of the evacuation zone. This is what everybody in that area is looking at. You see that box there? Everybody who lives within that box on that map, they're told to get out and get out fast. In fact, already at least one call for a rescue in this story. Our CBS partners there report one person is right now at this moment trapped. We're hearing that all major routes throughout that area are closed. So once again, imminent dam failure in Nashville, Illinois, residents on the run. This is another breaking news story from our communities we will come back to as we await word on how and why that dam is about to fail. We want to take you out live to Milwaukee, Wisconsin also for day 2 of the Republican National Convention. And today, public safety is a big theme. In fact, look at this video here. A bandaged Donald Trump stood next to his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, in the run-up to a conversation today about solving the problem of crime in our country. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand, she is live outside that convention center in Milwaukee once again for us today. So that theme is Make America Safe Again, and it looks like Republicans are going to lead the conversation with a picture of a country in crisis when it comes to crime and public safety.
Reed, good to be with you. Yeah, these are major issues for the Trump campaign and also for Republican voters. If you talk to them, we're talking about crime, public safety, and also the border. We know these sessions are packed with speakers who range